Redefined TV for kids.
In the heart of a busy town, the Christmas season was in full swing. Bells jingled, carolers sang, and shop windows glittered with decorations. In the middle of all the excitement stood Mr. Griggs, the town baker. Though his bakery was filled with the smell of warm bread and sweet treats, Mr. Griggs himself was anything but warm. Bah, Christmas, he grumbled, sweeping flour off his counter. All this fuss about giving and joy. What's so joyful about it? He crossed his arms as he watched customers bustle past his shop. It's just work for me. Just as he turned to the back of his bakery, a little girl appeared at the door. Her coat was patched and her face looked pale. She peeked inside, hesitating. Out with you, Mr. Griggs barked. I'm busy and I don't have time for nonsense. The girl flinched but stayed. Sir, she said softly, I only wanted to ask if you had any leftover bread. My mama says God always provides, but we haven't had anything to eat today. Mr. Griggs' scowl deepened, but something about the girl's hopeful eyes stopped him. He grumbled under his breath, reached for a small loaf, and handed it to her. Take this and go. Thank you, sir, the girl said with a bright smile. Merry Christmas. Her words lingered in the air as she skipped away. Mr. Griggs shook his head, mumbling, Merry Christmas indeed. That night, Mr. Griggs sat alone in his bakery. The streets outside had grown quiet, but the girl's words echoed in his mind. He couldn't stop thinking about her gratitude and joy over such a small loaf of bread. The next morning, he decided to deliver bread to the family. He filled a basket with warm loaves, cakes, and cookies, telling himself it was just to get her off his mind. When he arrived at the girl's small house, he knocked hesitantly. Her mother answered, her face lighting up in surprise. Oh, Mr. Griggs, she said, how kind of you to visit. Come in. The girl ran to him, beaming. Mama, look, it's the baker. He brought us Christmas treats. Mr. Griggs stepped inside, uncomfortable with their excitement. It's nothing, he muttered. Just thought you could use some bread. The girl hugged him tightly. Thank you, sir. Mama says God always answers our prayers, and you're part of his answer. Mr. Griggs froze. No one had ever thanked him like that before. The warmth of their gratitude began to melt the icy walls around his heart. Over the next few days, Mr. Griggs found himself baking extra treats, not for profit, but for the joy of giving. He delivered pastries to families in need, all while trying to convince himself he wasn't doing it for the smiles or the Merry Christmas wishes. As Christmas Eve approached, the town began to notice. Have you heard about the baker's kindness? They whispered. He's spreading joy everywhere. Mr. Griggs grumbled when he overheard the talk. Spreading joy? I'm just doing what needs to be done. But deep down, he couldn't deny that he felt different, lighter even. On Christmas morning, as he opened his bakery, he found a group of townspeople waiting outside. They cheered when they saw him. Mr. Griggs, the little girl cried, running up to him with her mother. You made this the best Christmas ever. The townspeople clapped and sang carols, filling the air with laughter and love. For the first time in years, Mr. Griggs smiled, a real joyful smile. That night, as he closed the bakery, he sat by the fire and thought about the little girl's words. God always answers our prayers. He realized that in giving to others, he had found the joy he'd been missing all along. True joy comes not from what we receive, but from what we give with love. This Christmas, let your heart be filled with the joy of giving.